Yeah. You got any idea about others? Will they be coming or not coming or? To start or not to start, or they have any other class? Parallelly, some other classes going on. Sarisha, what is your combination? Psychology with? You can make use of chat box. If not, what is the combination of you both? Sociology, English literature, and psychology. Okay, good. Nice subjects. What about Sharmila? What about your combination?
Mine are sociology, economics, and psychology, sir.
Sociology, economics. Okay, good. Sociology degree have okay, some opportunities, especially with regard to government jobs.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you complete it. You are going to have some exclusive opportunities for sociology, home science, etc. Okay, so let's not wait for them because I think they may not be turning up. So today we will continue with Unit 3. Okay, so yesterday we have completed about the introduction Unit 1. Okay, so most of them are missing today. So we will start with Unit 3 because that's going to be a little bit of new thing. Unit 2, because it talks about okay, psychophysics. It is applied field of psychology, which is called as psychophysics, which talks about okay, so how psychological principles are used in physics. It's a combination of okay, physics or like physical properties they check in psychology. Stimulus, your reaction times, etc. Okay, so that is going to be a little bit new. So maybe most of them are not present. Tomorrow maybe Sunday they will be available. So we will be talking about Unit 2 tomorrow. So today we will continue with Unit 3, which is called as okay, psychological assessment methods, because it's a continuation of what we have discussed yesterday. Okay, so as you know, two terms, testing and assessment. If you're comfortable, can I know what you mean by testing, what you mean by assessment? Okay, assessment is a very broader term. Under assessment, we have test. So assessment is talking about overall one, both qualitative and quantitative, as I said. So under that, a part is a test. Okay, so testing is to do with administering a test or a tool where you try to collect data. So this we already discussed yesterday. So today we are going to talk about okay, psychological assessment methods. Okay, under this we have 4 methods. Please write down: observation, interview, case study, and norm reference test. Observation, interview, case study, and norm reference test. So that is the reason we are trying to discuss this topic, especially today, because we got a little bit idea about what observation is. And interview is a very common. Okay, and case study, you might have heard about case studies. This is a medical terminology. So generally, they make use in medical field. Then next we have norm reference test. Okay, this is going to be a little bit new one to you. So I'm going to tell about that. So observation. So what according to you can be observation? Or in what way it can be different from just watching and you being observed? Would you like to talk? Arisha or Sharmila? should I keep telling? Okay, so what is the difference between just watching, or you seeing, and you observing? Is there any difference between them?
Observation might be processing the things in front of us.
Okay, processing, good. Yes, maybe when you watch, just you're looking at. Okay, you look at many things around us. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about this stimulus and response. So you are bombarded, or you're coming across with so many things. So you try to attend them. So which particular thing you're attending? Okay, that we're going to discuss tomorrow. So there are many, but why we are choosing only one particular thing? Okay, one particular stimulus. Okay, that we're going to talk tomorrow. Okay, observation is a focused watching. You are watching, but there you are focused, concentrated on certain things. You agree with this? Example, when a patient admits in the hospital, and after treatment, maybe if things are normal, so before the discharge, they say that he will be kept under observation. Have you heard about this particular
Yes, sir.
situation?
Yes, sir.
So what are they trying to look at actually? Okay, simple. They might be trying to look at the symptoms. You agree with this? The
So,
person have come up with certain symptoms, maybe a fever hoga, or for example, like okay, the situation is going on, the pandemic, etc. So it have got some symptoms. So maybe they are looking for those particular selected symptoms, whether this particular patient is showing in this particular, maybe that is 24 or 48 hours. They say maybe observation for 1 day or a 2 day. Okay, so this is how observation is having a purpose. Is it making any sense?
yes, sir.
So especially when we talk in terms of a patient, so they're saying that okay, we are trying to make
Focus on
observation.
particular things.
Yes, or the patient would be kept under observation. So what they mean by that is that they're trying to look at certain particular selected symptoms, because they know the person is having this particular maybe disease or this particular condition. So these are the symptoms, though they are not seen now, but maybe if they are not shown, or if the person is not showing these particular symptoms for next 24 hours or 48 hours, then they will come to a conclusion that the person is completely got healed or is out of that particular disease. Okay, so in the same way, when we're talking about the psychological assessment, as I said, assessment, we are trying to look at or try to know the overall okay personality or the overall behavioral aspect of a person. Okay, under that, testing is one part. That particular testing, okay, we make use of certain tests. So psychological assessment, they are trying to use okay the 4 different methods. First one is observation. So as we have a medical observation looking for certain patterns or symptoms, in the same way our psychological assessment also. So we are trying to look at, we are focused. Okay, so we have a sample of behavioral patterns or selected certain behavioral patterns, and we're trying to look at so how frequently my particular student is showing this particular behavioral patterns. For example, aggression. So how aggressive my particular student is when he is in a classroom, when he is in a playground, or what is that particular thing which is making this particular person to get into this particular behavior, get into aggression. If he's getting into this particular aggressive behavior, so how long he's into that? So what are the behavioral changes he's showing, or what is okay trying to do in that particular behavioral pattern? Did you get any information about observation? Observation is a focused or a concentrated watching. Okay. For example, if you are a psychologist or if you are a person who want to make observation, so you are very much focused, you are attentive, you have already selected certain behavioral patterns, certain behavioral types which you would like to observe. Okay, so that particular selected behavior is called a sample of behavior. So you're trying to look at this particular selected behavior. So how frequently? Because you're not only just focusedly looking, but also you're trying to make a note of so how frequently this particular person is getting into this particular behavior. Okay, so how frequently? So you're not only just looking, you're focused, you have a purpose, and you're also making a note of this particular selected pattern of behavior. So how frequently? So that is called as observation. Was it clear? So observation is completely different from that of just being watching. Here you are watching, but you are focused. Okay, was that clear? Observation. So observation very important, especially from our behavioral sciences. Okay, psychology. Why? Why this particular observation is very important? Can anyone? Why is it so important, observation?
Observation helps us to pinpoint the details.
Yes, details.
Sometimes recollect what is in front of us.
Okay, recollect. But we are talking about people, their feelings, their emotions. You agree with this?
Yes, sir, absolutely. We can also pinpoint how they're, I mean, if they're sad, also we can look into their faces and observe.
Good, good, good. So what the person is telling and what actually is going through, can we make it out?
Yes, sir.
So maybe with regard to other subjects, it may not have certain significance, but when we're talking in terms of psychological assessment, it have a very significant role to play, because we're talking about okay people, their feelings, emotions, okay, agony, what they are going through. Okay, so that can be cross-checked by making observation. The person may be saying, I'm very much comfortable. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. But can we make out how comfortable he is? Can we make out?
Yes, sir.
So because of observation or anything else?
It's purely observation.
Okay, so by making observation. So this is how observation is one of the most important psychological assessment method, because it is going to give you the first-hand experience. It's not that you're trying to get information a bit later, but has on when the person or your client, when he's talking, when he's saying, when he's sharing his okay, emotions, okay, to what extent or really that particular person is mean that what is going through can be cross-checked Okay, immediately, then and there itself, with help of observation. So now what is the importance of observation in psychological assessment? Very much. You agree with this? Because without observation, or so-called psychological assessment cannot be done. You agree with this? For example, when you go to your doctor, what doctor says? What are the symptoms? They listen. Okay. Sometimes they try to cross-check by looking at your maybe heartbeat, etc. Okay. Sometimes they check eyes, etc. and all that. But when it comes to psychology, so it goes parallel. So what the person is saying and what you're making an observation, and you try to cross-validate this particular information. So this is how observation is very crucial and very important. And also you should make a note that not everyone can make an observation. So observation also need to be taken up as a skill. So you need to get acquainted, trained how to do a assessment, especially using observation. So observation as a method, so which has to be trained. So just you looking at, as I said, okay, so how frequently it's getting, so what he's saying and all that, okay, just you making a note down, etc. Okay, that will not serve my purpose because I'm trying to understand at a deeper level what the person is saying, to what extent is correct. The person may be saying, sir, I'm very much bothered, but maybe from his body language, etc., may not be so deep or so worried as he was saying. Okay, so it can be both. The person may be saying, no, sir, I'm very comfortable, but it can be the other way. So very important. So this particular observation is again of, okay, generally, okay, four types, okay, controlled versus naturalistic, please write down, participant versus non-participant observation. Here they have given only three, but okay, participant versus non-participant. Or if not, just write down page number 26 rather than write. Okay, now what can be a controlled observation? We are making use of a word called controlled. So what does it mean by controlled? What is a controlled situation?
So maybe when we're observing some sort of an experiment or in a confined space.
Good. In a laboratory, yes, good. Okay, a place where the observer have maximum control. It is a laboratory. So laboratory setting. So when you try to make a observation, that is called as controlled observation. So in what way, as an observer, you have control on certain things? Please just think about it.
That is, majorly we don't have any disturbances or outside.
Yes, outside things we can eliminate. Good.
And since we want to observe certain particular characteristics, we can make sure that the environment within the room is according to the experimenter's will.
Yes, good. So what all you think? Yes, some variables. Okay. So Arisha is making use of a word variable. Okay, I thought of using that, but I don't know you are familiar with that word or not, so I did not use. Okay, have you know about or heard about this particular concept called variables?
Yes, sir.
So what is a variable?
During our practicals.
Yes, okay, during practicals, good. What is a variable? The thing which changes, okay, which varies, characteristics, etc. Okay, so how many types would be there? Independent, dependent, and intervening variables. Okay, So there will be certain things which will try to interfere. Okay. So you're trying to make observation of one particular student, okay, or maybe someone. If he's a student, okay, making you try to observe that particular student in a classroom. Okay, as I said, okay, how frequently is getting aggressive. But there can be n number of reasons, no, that can make a person get aggressive. You agree with this?
Yes, sir.
So there are so many things. Being aggressive need not be because of only one thing what you're trying to look at, but it can be because of n number of things. So when you try to make an observation within and where the things are happening, that is the natural setting, it is called as naturalistic observation. For example, if I want to make an observation in a classroom, and if I'm not creating a classroom, just make a note of this. I'm not creating a classroom, but I'm trying to go to a classroom and make an observation in the classroom. So that becomes my
Natural observation.
good naturalistic observation, because I am making observation in the natural setting. I'm not creating any situation. How will be my student in a movie theater? So I'm not creating that particular situation, but I'm trying to go to that particular natural setting and try to observe when will this particular observation or the selected behavior would be shown by this particular person, naturalist. If that is not possible, and if I'm trying to create situations in a lab setting, it is called as controlled observation. Okay. So controlled observation can be a simulated technique. What is a simulation? Have you heard about the simulation?
Yes.
Pilot training. Okay, good, good. Shruti, go ahead.
So
Pilot training.
basically, when you award a child, if he is vocally saying that he needs to use the bathroom,
Simulation. I asked about, okay, simulation. What do you mean by simulation?
so from what I understand, stimulation is
Stimulation. Simulation.
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 I may not be able to explain it properly, sir.
Yeah. Simulation is a condition, okay, where you try to create certain things. For example, pilot training, okay, they make you sit in front of a screen and they try to teach you. Is it really possible to learn pilot training, etc., like we learn a bicycle? Just think about it. Bicycle will not happen. Okay, if you fall also, nothing will happen. You agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Except you get hurt. You get hurt, nothing will happen to cycle.
Yes.
Can the same thing be applied to a plane, aeroplane?
Usually, you have simulations when you're learning how to ride a plane, because
Yes. Even like forever, okay, four-wheelers, car, etc. Okay, now they are trying to teach you. Okay, initially they try to teach you on a computer screen, so it would be almost all a created situation where you riding on a road only.
yes.
Okay, so controlled condition. I'm trying to create the situation. If that is not possible, generally they try to make a naturalistic observation. Why? Why naturalistic observation is given much importance? If, for example, the slightest awareness of you being observed, will you try to give the natural responses?
No, sir, you'll be conscious, self-conscious.
You getting me? But we are trying to look at the most natural responses of my particular selected people or an individual. But the slightest awareness that you being observed, So will they try to show the natural response?
No, sir.
So that is the reason. So most of the time we try to go with naturalistic observation. If that is not possible, because as we know, there can be n number of reasons, n number of intervening task disturbances. If you cannot have a control on that particular things, so you try to create things, situations in a laboratory, and you try to make an observation in that particular a situation or a phenomenon. Okay, for example, natural disasters. For example, like a tsunami kind of a thing. So how people react and all that. So will I be able to know when will these particular things will happen? Natural calamities.
No, sir.
So if I wait also, is there any usage of that? Is that making any sense?
No, sir.
You getting me? So
Yes.
when you try to create situations, when natural things are not possible, then you try to create situations. That created situations are called as controlled conditions. For example, mock drills. Have you heard of mock drills?
Yes, sir.
So mock drills are the best examples of this controlled observation. Suddenly there would be a bomb blast kind of a thing or a fire accident. So what they try to do?
Evacuate people.
Yes, evacuate people. They try to look at okay, how people will react and all that. You getting me?
Yes, sir.
Actually, you're expecting a thing to happen like a okay, fire accident or a bomb blast and all that. Okay, is that ethically? Is that correct?
No.
Is anyone have awareness of that? When will they happen and all that? They are
No.
beyond our control. You getting me?
Yes, sir.
But if you have this particular intention of making an observation, then you try to create situations. Then you try to create situations. Did you get this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's very, very easy to create situations, but we would be losing the most natural responses. When you don't have an alternate for this, then only we will try to go with controlled observation. If not, we will go with naturalistic observation. Then participant versus non-participant. So what does it mean by participant? So who is a participant now?
The person who's willing to be observed during
Observer.
observer.
In simple terms, the observer is a participant. One among the group. One among the group, okay, which is been observed. If it is an individual or a group, is part of that. So what would be the most natural responses possibility? Can we get the natural responses with this particular method? Because you being a participant, one among them. Maybe 9 students if I have, if one among them is the observer, and if they're trying to make an observation, so how frequently these people are reacting. You getting me?
Yes, sir.
What particular point they're reacting, so how they are reacting, so how long they're trying to react and all that. Okay, you getting me?
Yes, sir.
So is one among them. So do you have any knowledge about that particular person and you getting observed and all that? Maybe no.
No, maybe not.
For example, a classroom, if the observer is one among your friends or one among the entire class, so will you be try to be aware or thinking that okay, you being watched, etc.? Maybe no, because he is one among your friends or a classmate.
Yeah.
If the presence of someone from outsider, then you become bit alert. Then you become bit
Alert.
because the presence of someone is there. So this is what it is about: participant versus non-participant observation. So the main advantage is that you get the most natural responses. So how the things are going, you can make an observation of these things because you being one among them, so they are not aware. They not even have this particular idea that they would be observed. You getting me?
Yes, sir.
Because it's a natural group, you are one among them. But the main disadvantage is that to become part of a group is time taking. And even sometimes there is no guarantee that you would become a part of the member. Okay, you become a member of the group because sometimes they may not accept you as a member. You agree?
Yes, sir.
Maybe this will work only when it is a familiar. Suddenly, if you have approached someone or some group, and if you want to be part of that, okay, they may or they may not accept. In that cases, then you go with non-participant observation. You are not part of this particular group, but you are somewhere, okay, making observation. You are somewhere outside. You're making sure that whom you're observing, either individual or group, they don't have this particular awareness that they're being observed. So what can be the best example? Have you heard about she teams? She teams. So what will she teams do? Are they making an observation, looking for people who are doing eve teasing, etc.? You agree with this? Huh? Or police people in civil dress? They are somewhere, they are making observation, they are looking at the people who are trying to do mischief, etc. So this is what the difference between participant versus non-participant. So observation is very, very, very important. Was it clear up to this?
Yes, sir.
Then interview. So interview is a very, very common thing. Almost all everyone have idea about this.
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah, how many people would have been interviewed? Generally two, interviewer and interviewee.
Interviewee.
The person who is taking interview and the person who is attending an
Interview.
interview. It can be 1-to-1, many to one. So when will it be many to one?
When it belongs to for example, civil exams.
Okay. Job interviews,
Yes.
simple terms.
Yes, sir.
It's a group of experts, they're trying to look at this particular person.
A panel of people.
Yes, panel of people. When you said a panel of people, so how many people would have been a panel?
It depends on the company and the board of members, I guess, sir.
Yes, the company is a very rich company.
It could be somewhere around 10.
10. Good. If 5 of them are saying yes, 5 of them are saying no. So how to arrive at a conclusion? So if you observe this particular, okay, our live shows, singing competitions, etc. So how many judges would be there?
Odd numbers usually.
Okay, you getting me?
Yes, sir. One person to break the tie.
Yes. So there will always be an extra person. When a situation arises that there is a tie kind of a thing, this particular person will try to break this particular tie and give a lead. Okay, try to help out to choose either say yes or no. So you got the structure. So how many people would be there and all that. Okay. So members would be generally odd numbers. The simple logic, as I said, okay,
Yes.
50% are saying yes and 50% saying no, then how to come to a conclusion, it become a difficult thing. So definitely a additional person always would be there. Okay, the other simple term is the structured and unstructured. So there are two types. So what is the structured type? Predetermined. So already pre-decided sequence of questions would be there. So they would be asked for each and every participant or who is attending this particular interview. For example, the starting questions can be with regard to a bit low difficulty level, and it will be keeping on going to a more and more difficult level. So they are sequenced, they are arranged, they are already well prepared to the purpose of this particular interview. Then what can be unstructured one?
Depending on the answers the interviewee is giving, they can add up additional questions according to the answers she's giving.
Good. Yeah. So what can be the reason for that? Is it to make person little bit uncomfortable?
It's to make the person comfortable and also to extract more information.
Excellent, excellent. So you always remember that. So when you want to have in-depth knowledge about, okay, the person and what he is saying, whether he is able to defend that, or what illustration or what explanation you have for that. So we try to go with, okay, unstructured interview. For example, like this. Ask a question if someone says, okay, can you elaborate? So what is this particular thing? So this is how I'm trying to look at or get more and more information. Okay, so they're called as probing questions. So when we try to do psychological assessment, so this is how we try to either go with a structured or an unstructured one. So based on the purpose of the assessment. So if at initial stage you may go with a structured one, then when you try to get deeper into the particular issue or you try to understand this particular client, then you may ask these probing questions. Can you elaborate this? What exactly you mean by that? You getting me?
Yes, sir.
So this is how information can be gathered. So interview, then structured versus unstructured interview. So each have their limitation as well as their advantages. Okay, then case study. So case study, as I said initially, so this is being taken from, okay, medical field, okay, as we have medical case histories. So when you go to a hospital, what they do?
We try to gather all the information, pre-existing medical conditions, medication we are taking on,
Good.
and doctor we have previously visited.
First thing they try to give you ID. You agree with this?
Yes, sir.
A numerical number they try to give.
Yes.
And they try to gather all the information, the before as well as the subsequent visits, whatever you are doing.
Yeah.
So if you go to an MNC, they try to take the scan of the copy. So whatever the prescription or whatever is going on the visit, they try to make a scan of that. You ever attended this type of things? Yes, madam is saying Yashoda Hospital. Good. Okay, any any MNC companies, okay, generally they try to have information, a scanned copy of, okay, what all had happened or discussion or what description was given in that particular visit, so that it would be used for the next time also, and also to arrive at a conclusion. So how this particular case was dealt and how sequentially it was arrived at the conclusion. So in the same way, this particular case study, when it comes to psychology, psychological assessment, so you try to gather all the information from birth to the existing condition. If even information is available before birth, that is the prenatal condition. So prenatal, natal, and postnatal. Okay. So from at the time of conception, okay, if you have information, maybe if mother is giving that information, okay, you try to take that from doctors, okay, who have attended this particular baby at the time of birth, and post birth complications, if any. When he attended schooling, so what was his behavior, any significant incidents that happened, or that can be, okay, looked at to give a lead to the present condition. So everything, whatever information can be collected, is try to collect it so that to arrive at the present condition. So this is called as case study. Was it clear?
Yes, sir.
So have you seen this particular case study in any movie?
Recently, a lot of Telugu movies are.
Okay, which one that is particularly?
I can't say particularly about this one, but
example, Chandramukhi.
yes.
Your so-called Rajni will go and try to collect all the information, and he says what was the reason for the present condition and all that. Did you remember that?
Yes, actually, we had this discussion in the last semester also.
Okay, okay. So this is how you try to look at, collect all information. For example, if the particular doctor who have attended, if he is not present, so where can I get the information?
Background check.
So from where can I get the information?
Some
Records.
records.
Okay. So primary data is the person. Then if that person is not present, then tertiary data. Okay. Secondary and tertiary data.
Yes.
Official documents, even if that is not present, no? If any significant incident that happened, maybe in newspapers of that particular time also, I will try to look at, was there any information with regard to this particular incident? You getting it?
Yes.
Person, medical records, if not, media. Is it disturbance from Vamsi? Done. Okay, so medical case study. So this case study can be done for organizations also. Management also they do case studies. Okay, from our psychological perspective, for psychological assessment, we try to look at, okay, what all can be the reasons or what can support for the present so-called behavior of the person. Okay, we try to look at that. Then norm referred psychological test. So as we talked about, what is a psychological test? Psychological test can be a standardized test or a questionnaire kind of a thing. So which is used to get the required information from the client or the patient. You agree with this?
Yes, sir.
A test. So they're saying norm referenced psychological test. So you should be able to know what is a norm. Norm is a 50% of the entire group. Okay. That particular performance or that particular ability or that particular characteristic is taken as a norm. Repeat. Okay, 50% of the group or the people whom you are studying, their abilities, their qualities will become the particular norm for that particular group. Okay, so the psychological test, when they are at the time of construction, we talked about psychometry and all that. The test construction, if they have taken, for example, 100 people, so what 50% of the people had, for example, intelligence, so that would be taken as the norm or the average. Then they will check individuals. So where this particular individual will fall, is it average? Is he below average? Is he above average? So these are called as norm referred psychological test. Was it clear? So norm is taken as the average performance or ability of a group. For example, if I have 8 students with me, so what would be the average of 8?
4, sir.
4. So when I have scores of all the 8 students, okay, now it is got increased. Okay, when I have scores of all the students, when I take average of that, so that will become the standard for that particular group. Then I will check, okay, who is above that, who is below that particular score. So that is called as norm. And in the same way, for all psychological standardized tests, there would be certain norms already prepared. Okay, so they have prefixed scores saying if you get this many marks, you are average intelligent. If you're getting this many marks, you are below average. If you're getting more than this marks, you are above average. Okay, so this type of already prefixed, okay, scored standardized tests are called as norm referenced psychological test. So you are trying to refer your score with already the well established scoring patterns and you try to arrive at conclusion. So where you stand with regard to the group. So this is called as norm reference psychological test. Okay. For example, RSPM, did you remember RSPM scoring? Or any test you have done?
Yes, sir.
They say, okay, if you get these many marks, now you are average. If you're getting these many marks now, you are above average. Then high. Okay, below average, low score kind of. So how they are getting or how they are fixing this? By taking group average on whomever they have tested and come to the conclusions. So based on that particular sample, they fix this particular norms. So what would be score for women? What would be score for men? If they are children, no? What should be score for treating them as high, low, average, etc. So those are called as norm referenced, okay, psychological test. Okay, was that clear?
Yes, sir.
So today we discussed about unit 3 because most of you did not join beginning. So we thought of going with unit 3 because unit 2 is a new one. It talks about psychophysics, its application of physics and psychology. And this is being a little bit general, no? I thought like, okay, if you're not attending also, maybe you can read and you can get this particular topic. So that was the reason we have started with unit 3. So tomorrow we will be discussing unit 2. So under unit 3, we talked about psychological assessment methods. Okay, we talked especially about the 4 methods: observation, interview, case study, and norm reference test. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Sheikh Muhammad, was that clear? Want to talk? Sai Pavani? Sharmila was talking to us. Arisha was talking to us. Monica, was that clear?
Yes, sir.
Got any doubts? You would like to share anything? Chalo, then see you all tomorrow.
Thank you very much, sir.
You got class tomorrow, no?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, yes. Okay, chalo, see you all tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, you're all welcome.
Over.